Hi, Amanda Wakeley here. I'm super excited to be kicking off Season 6 of Style DNA in partnership with Zoe Science and Nutrition. Just as we curate our wardrobes to express our unique style, Zoe is a personalised nutrition program that helps you make smarter food choices to benefit your personal nutritional needs. When you don't feel your best, it can really impact your mood and your confidence. As someone passionate about empowering people to feel their best, I believe that understanding nutrition is key. Zoe's program starts with an at-home test that uncovers your body's responses to food and gut microbes. Take the test and you'll receive a personalised report on which foods work for you. You can then use the Zoe app to score your meals and make the healthiest choices. Zoe members who participated in a recent study saw positive changes in their gut microbiome, waist circumference, and energy levels. So, if you're looking to boost your energy and improve your gut health, I certainly am, Zoe offers personalised insights to guide you. This week, I'm starting my first Zoe journey. I challenge you to go to zoe.com, take their free quiz, and find out what Zoe membership can do for you. Use the code STYLE10 to get 10% off your membership. Tune in next week so that we can compare Zoe notes. Today, I'm going on a style journey with influencer and founder of the LA Space brand, the lovely Lorna Luxe. Hello and welcome, Lorna.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, honestly, it's a pleasure. It's lovely to have you here. But I mean, the weird thing is with social media, I'm sure you get told this all the time, but sort of doing my research and watching all your Instagram reels and all of that, I feel like I know you. but it's that lovely, for me, familiar northern lilt, which is just takes me right home.
To Cheshire.
I've
held on to it. I've really held on to my accent with... Yeah, I've struggled because I've not been there for years.
But has it been a struggle to hold on to it?
I think so. I think being married to a southerner, all my friends are southern.
Yeah.
If I hear a Mancunian, I'm like, who's that?
I'm slightly the same. It's but I love it.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but I do find myself, I'll probably adopt your lilt as we go on. But you are super busy right now. You founded your brand LA Space.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how that came about?
So that was a long time in the making because I remember when I first began being an Instagrammer and like an influencer, and I first acquired like a management. I remember in that meeting, she said to me, what do you actually want to do? Like, what's the long game? And I said, naively, I want my own brand. And I kind of have kept to that in my head. In the back of my head, I always thought, yeah, I really want to do this. So I'd designed clothes for other brands and created collections, and I kind of learned the business.
And that was during my
Instagramming.
Yeah.
And all the way through that, I was always thinking, yeah, I still want to do this. I still think I could have a bash at it. But I think because of the nature of the way I create content and the nature of the community I've built, it was never just going to be about fashion, because it couldn't be, because we had too many interests between us. I love skincare and beauty, and I love so many things that, I love drinking rosé. Bit of a spoiler alert there. But there's definitely other things in the pipeline that had to be part of this brand. It couldn't just be one thing. So that's kind of where I started out. I think we started trading last October, and it was a year before that when I acquired my team. So there was a year of us just developing the brand, the branding, what we wanted to create, building a really good tight team, which I've held on to.
And your team consisted of what?
So my team...
Day one.
My day one team consisted of my designer. She was somebody that I'd worked with in the past, so we had that relationship anyway. And I wanted a garment tech. But I actually, it was a smart hire because she wasn't just a garment tech. She was so much more than that. And she has so many skills separate to just the kind of the practicals.
So what, product developer?
Yeah, I think a little bit of a kind of just to get us tucked into whatever needs to be done, which is a small brand you really need. You need people that can do.
Yeah.
And naively, I kind of went straight in and got a buyer on a kind of like 1 day a week scenario. But actually, I didn't need a buyer, because the nature of the collections we wanted to create, that wasn't so important. I think buying was more about the bigger, wholesale-y gig. So I quickly kind of switched that up, and I hired a merchandiser who saves me a lot of money, I'm sure.
Yep.
Probably the smartest hire I made.
Yeah.
And then recently, maybe in the last 8 to 9 months, I managed to snatch somebody that I'd worked with before, who again kind of is one of those can-do people that just gets on with it. And she's kind of created a role for herself in a way because she does so many things, all our social media, all our influencer outreach, planning shoots for the collections. So we're a very small team. They all do customer service.
And this is all run from where?
So I've got offices in Manchester. So I went home, I hired everybody from Manchester.
Good girl.
So yeah, I thought if I'm going to have a brand, it needs to be based in my hometown.
Did you set out to become an influencer?
So I remember I joined Instagram because I'd got a job working for Rocket St. George, which is like an interiors company.
Yeah.
And Jane and Lucy, who founded that, are just brilliant women, really, like people that I just completely admire. And they'd started that brand from their kitchen table, and they loved car booting. So the theory was, why don't we find these trinkets and oddities and commercialise them? And that's where the website kind of grew. So when I joined, I actually applied for a job that I wasn't really cut out for. And they said, we can't give you that job, but we really like you. Do you want to just come and fill in the holiday when one of the girls is at her school holidays, she's not going to work? And so I kind of found my niche there because they just let me stay. And it started as customer service. But every day I would watch them take photographs of the products we were selling, and they'd make them look so pretty. We'd be in a warehouse where it was just a bit of a mess, and they'd find this little corner of the warehouse and make these beautiful images. And that's when I joined Instagram, because I thought, I could do that. So if you scroll back to my original Instagram content, which is like 4,000 images, it's all pictures of like the corner of my living room, or, trying to make cute things out of nothing.
Yeah. And
I was an early adopter to Instagram. I think I joined in 2014.
That is early.
And I think it was founded in 2013 maybe, or 12.
Yeah.
So I was very early on, which is why I was able to grow quickly.
Yes.
Because they encouraged that at the time.
Yeah, because now...
Oh, it's a minefield. Minefield.
It really is. I mean, what would you say is the secret now to growing?
Probably the virality
with
of content.
1.4 million followers, I'm sure you don't really need that many more.
No, I definitely don't. I don't treat my content now as a growth, so I don't necessarily want to reach people that aren't in my community.
Yeah.
But that is not the strategy of Instagram. They want you to try and be on the explore page, reach new people. But at the minute, I'm trying to keep the ones I've got and give them all the things that I've probably promised over the years, and keep that community as kind of tight as I can. Which isn't a smart move for a brand owner, but I think for a personal brand, it's quite a nice place to be.
Yeah.
And it encourages a really nice conversation. I think where I've struggled is when I've when I've popped onto TikTok, because I'm quite lazy with TikTok, and the content and the algorithm isn't created for a community, it's created to reach strangers. So there's no context. And because a lot of my content is quite, I'm quite chatty. I'm chatting about John, I'm chatting about things I'm up to. If you don't know me, it probably is a bit boring. So it doesn't maybe translate in the same way.
But so would you say that is the secret of your success on Instagram?
I think the secret of retaining a strong community of people that are still around, then being myself, sharing the highs and the lows, not being too serious about it all. And I think that it will also be to my detriment as social media grows, because that is not the way it's going. The new era of social media is about reaching strangers and titillating them and creating content that amuses and delights. And actually a lot of especially in the last couple of years where John, my husband, has been poorly, I've not really been up for titillating and amusing. Sometimes I just want to come on and talk about what I'm doing and try and find some like relatability within the people that are following me. So it's a real interesting one to navigate, and that's kind of why when we founded LA Space, I knew I had to get somebody else to kind of manage the social media, because I would be so naturally drawn to just me popping on, and it could probably be a little bit provincial and that's not what I want for my brand. I want it to be a global brand.
And so what would you say is the difference in identity of you, Lorna Luxe, and your LA Space brand in terms of social?
There definitely is a different identity. I'd say the similarities are that we're both, as a brand and as I am, we are ambitious and we love nice things, and we're quite frugal at the same time, and we don't always want to spend thousands of pounds on tailoring, but also we will splash on some things that we love. Where the content is a little bit different is that my content is all unique content. So you won't ever really see me reposting I mean, I'll post other people's content if it's amusing, but on that main grid, it's always going to be me, and it will always be about me and what I'm up to. The brand, a completely different direction. It's about taking it back to when I used to create a mood board. My LA Space kind of came because I had an Instagram account called LA Space, and it was Lorna Andrews, which is my name, Lorna Andrews Space, and I used to just dump all my inspo on it because I'm a big Pinterester. I love mood boarding.
On Instagram?
Yeah. So it was a separate page. And then when I thought, well, why don't I create mood board collections? So each collection we do is mood boarded to within an inch of its life.
And do you mood board
Yeah,
that
I do.
yourself?
Yeah. I do it, and I do it with my team, and I do it on my own, and then I do it with my team, and we just keep moving it around until we come up with a collection of things that make sense with the mood board.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun to do, actually.
Fascinating. Now, I believe that John, your husband,
Yes.
was originally your photographer.
Yeah, he still is.
Is he?
I mean,
got a very good eye.
He's got a great eye. We take a lot of photos. These people that say, oh, we just do a couple of snaps, and there are those people, those influencers, I've seen it. They take 10 pictures and then they pick the best one and they just post it and they look great. I'm not that person. And I don't know if that's because I'm a bit older or I'm just a bit more particular. But he will normally take about 500 photos for me to get one I like.
Wow. And what's the secret of that? Is it that he takes on live or?
No, he doesn't. I mean, if we're really doing it properly, we'll shoot on, I've got a little Leica point and shoot. If we're at an event, then it's an iPhone. But ideally, a perfect shoot for John and I would be me shooting on Leica, and there'd be a bit of conversation. And actually, every maybe 20, 30 images, I would stop and let me have a look where we're going. And sometimes I'll be like, one thing I always say to him is, shoot me like you're talking to me. So get close to me. That won't be the final image, but once you're in someone's space, then you can pull away and you won't go, you'll stay in that eye line. So that reality is key, I think. People buy from people, don't they?
Yeah.
So visually we buy from things that we can relate to. So I think anything where it's a distorted image or it's shot too low, shot too high, it's not relatable then to me. So I'm not as invested in it.
Fascinating. How do you feel you've been able to monetize your influencing so well?
When I think I was about 500,000 followers and I'd not earned a penny out of my social media. And that's when I took on an agent. I think I might have had I'd had quite a lot of gifting.
Yeah.
But I had no inkling as to that people could earn money. That wasn't my world, so I didn't know anything about that.
And 500,000 was when?
So that would have been in 2016, about 2016. One thing about me, and I think this is very different to how a lot of other influencers do it, especially now, is that I would go to the opening of an envelope. So between 2014 to 2018, everybody knew who I was in the industry because I was at every party, every lunch, and it wasn't transactional. I would just go and I would make friends. And quite a lot of those PR friends that were maybe 22, 23, just starting out, are now running their own agencies. They're now in charge of lots of major brands. And how convenient that I kind of struck up those friendships back then.
Yeah.
But networking, it's your currency effectively. So everything about networking for me was 80% of my business was networking. And then the rest, I'd say the 19% was community. And then 1% was content. Because at the time, the content kind of just wrote itself because it was so easy to get new followers. So it didn't feel as much of a priority back then.
I'm going to ask you a cheeky question here. You don't have to answer it. What's the most amount that you have been paid for a single post?
30, 40 grand. So not compared to like in a celebrity that might be trading in 100K or whatnot. But normally my content is on a retainer. So a brand will come to me and say, right, we want you on the books for a year. And this is how much money we've got. And that will often be 6 figures. And then it will be spread over. And then it's up to my management to negotiate as little as content as possible for as most money as possible.
Yeah, sure.
And that's a sort of conversation that I don't get involved in.
Yeah.
And it's not even a conversation that I get any updates on either. All I hear about is this is the offer. This is what they want. How do you feel? They know what I like doing.
Yeah.
They know what converts and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to pitch my kind of ability. And we've got the stats.
Yeah.
So we know.
Yeah.
And I think that's stats are so important.
Yeah.
Because everything is about conversion.
Yeah.
We say that, we want to gift that person because they'll make pretty pictures. But no, we need to sell clothes, and that's what LA Space has to do. It has to sell in order to keep all these girls in Manchester in a job. So I'm very much focused on numbers, and that is for me the most important part of the business.
I mean, talking numbers, what's the best conversion you've ever had with LA Space in terms of an influencer, celebrity, royal wearing?
Me, definitely. And to the point where my girls will say to me, you need to post something on stories today because the sales have slumped. We've had some brilliant influencers. Yesterday, a girl called Callie was on holiday, and I'd actually reached out to her, I think, which is quite rare. But I said, if we can gift you anything, please. And she took a dress and she posted it yesterday. And all through the night, I've just seen these sales coming through, one after the other.
Amazing. And what was it about her?
I think me and her have been doing the same thing for the same time, I think. I think she was around longer than me.
Yeah.
She is somebody that is authentically herself. She talks about her feelings and her flaws, but she's also quite an exciting person to follow. She's got a lovely life, a nice husband, good taste. And one thing about our brand is that we tend to shoot, because we're on a budget, we tend to shoot on one body type. And they're usually a size 8. I'm a size 12. And then you just pray to God, because we're a brand, that we can either get a model. We're actually doing a shoot in a couple of days, actually, for different size women. But we just pray that other people will buy it and then I can show it. And I think for Callie, she was wearing our size 24 dress and she looked phenomenal. And that's important, that representation.
I saw that picture.
You need
those
to see
pictures.
it. You need to see it on lots of body types.
Yeah.
So, it helps that she's beautiful. But it's important to see the clothes on lots of different people.
I mean, the inclusive angle of LA Space, that's quite a challenging one. I mean, from my many years of being a designer, I know that post a size 16, body proportions change not equally.
Not at all. We actually fit our more inclusive sizes on different models.
Yeah.
So we go back to the drawing board. And that's actually why sometimes we've not brought maybe a dress that we've just not released in anything above a 16. It's because we couldn't get the fit right on the curvier model.
Because it's complicated, and that is not meant to be, sizest in any shape or form, but the body sizes up.
Yeah, it changes.
Very different proportions.
And also as well, from a landfill perspective, I know that a certain type of woman isn't going to wear a certain type of dress, because I know my people.
Yeah.
They're a bit older. My audience is not early 20s. So I don't do a lot of, tiny little stretchy dresses, because that's what I was wearing when I was in my 20s, but it's not what I want to wear now.
Yeah.
So we're kind of dressing for where is she going? What's she doing? What's her disposable income like? What kind of bar is she sat in? Is she going to be on a high stool? Does she need legs out? So they're kind of the things we're doing at the minute. Or just generally talking to our customer and asking them, what do they like? What didn't they like?
Now, today we're going on a style journey.
Okay.
So how did you decide what you were wearing?
So actually, I thought I've got to wear something from my own collection.
Definitely.
And right now, don't you think the weather's just really strange?
I cannot work it out. I'm sitting here in a suede top.
Yeah.
Now, you wear your LA Space label on the outside of your jacket.
Yes.
Is that purposeful? Do you recommend that is how it should be worn, and that
so up to you? I loved Savile Row and massive, men's tailoring. So when John would go and get his suits made,
heaven,
it always had the label. They always put it on, don't they? It's tacked on, and you may take it off.
Yeah.
And if it's really nice, you might leave it on. So he would never leave his on. No. But I'd always thought, I'm going to put them on, and then people can untack them.
Now, you grew up in Manchester.
Yeah.
Were you very aware of your parents' style growing up?
Very aware of the fact that my mum, we didn't have much money. My dad left when I was like 3 or 4. So we moved in with Nana and Grandad, and my mum worked in the library. So we didn't have loads of money.
Yeah.
So my mum would always put all her money into me. So I used to have piano lessons and ballet tap, I did it all. So I had all the outfits for all the things.
Oh, lovely.
But my mum was glam, and she always smelled great. She always had great perfume. So I always remember that being a key thing. I always remember her once wearing this kind of white dress suit with white high heels, like white court shoes, and me walking around in the shoes, trying to have high heels on. But Mum tells me often that I had fits, absolute stomping fits in the supermarket, because she'd make me I wasn't allowed a certain pair of shiny shoes, or I had to wear ugly shoes to school, I would get really upset.
On that note, do you remember your very first memory of the impact of clothes, how they made you feel, whether it was good or bad?
Yeah, but it was quite late on for me. So I think I was about 12, 13, and I had very curly, mousy brown, like frizzy hair. And there was a school disco, and my mum took me to, I think, Miss Selfridge or somewhere, and she bought me it was a brown suede miniskirt. And much like this bodysuit, a kind of lace see-through bodysuit, which is still kind of my style now, to be honest, and a little bra to match, and these really high platform brown suede shoes. And I was quite curvy. I say curvy, I was just quite a chubby kid. But she straightened my hair as blow dried it. And I remember walking into the school disco and somebody saying, "Oh my God, you look so different with makeup, and like you look pretty." And I remember thinking, there's power in that.
Yeah.
So being attractive as a woman is really powerful. And so I probably went in and out, but there's been periods of my life where it's so beneficial to be a bit glam. People take you more seriously. What you're wearing is so important.
You probably take yourself more seriously.
I think you're right.
You then went on to be a flight attendant.
Yeah.
For Virgin.
Yeah.
How did you feel in your uniform?
Fabulous.
Why? Tell me.
I thought that this job for me symbolised a lot of things that I'd not had before. So it was identity, because I belonged to this, this brilliant brand. And let's not forget that back in the day, Richard Branson really created quite a powerful brand.
Very.
It was sexy. The marketing was sexy.
Yeah.
And no one was doing that. So BA were quite the opposite. And he hated BA. And we loved it because it was fun and playful and all is it. This was, when I did my interview for Virgin, it was a full day of like an X Factor style interview. So you would be monitored the whole day, and we start with 30 people, and through the day you'd get put in different two rooms.
What did you wear for that interview?
I wore a skirt, a pencil skirt. I wore a very little pink like jumper thing, and I wore a neck scarf.
Yeah.
And I had quite a heavy fringe and quite short hair. I thought I looked really good.
Heels.
I wanted to be fun, and I was so conscious that they were watching us the whole day. And that year, 800,000 people applied and 800 jobs were given out. So it was there was before I'd even got in the uniform, there was a lot of, in my head, power. 21, I've got this job, I'm going to move down south, I'm going to be flying all over the world. This is it now, I'm ready to kind of live my life.
Now, you've been very open about your struggles with anorexia and bulimia. Do you know what actually triggered that?
I think I've spoken about this once before, and I think it was quite upsetting for my mum, because through my childhood, my mum was always on a diet. And I think my nana was as well. And there was always Slim Fast in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And there was always some diet, the lose 10 pounds in a week, or, the egg diet, the tomato diet, the cabbage diet. It was but it was back then, when you talk about the 80s and 90s, that was very normal. It was normalised to be trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Everyone was on a diet. So I was very aware of it. And then when I had got to the tail end of university, I'd lost quite a lot of weight, and I became sexually active, and I got boyfriends.
Purposefully lost
weight. And I realised, I spoke about it before, this power of being not beautiful, but being attractive to men, and how that could get you things. So when I was cabin crew, two things were at play, I would say. One was that I used to serve a lot of businessmen, and it was powerful to be attractive. And the second thing was that I lived a very transient life. Every time I flew was a new crew, so you didn't really know anyone.
Yeah.
So there's no one really checking in to make sure you're doing things right. There was a lot of galley talk about losing weight. We were weighed and we were measured yearly at Virgin at the time.
Really?
So you were very conscious of, listen, when
I don't think that would be legal.
Well, it isn't. When I first joined Virgin, if you changed dress size, so if you needed a new uniform, you would have to go in for an HR meeting, or at the very least, you'd see your cabin crew manager just to make sure everything's okay. Because the cost of the business, I imagine, was a lot.
Yeah.
But also, why have you changed sizes? So as I went down, I think I started at 10, then I got into an 8, then I was in a 6, then I was in a 4.
Oh my God.
And it was becoming it was competitively losing weight.
Yeah.
But what I had noticed, the worst part of it really for me, that is the reason why I ended up wanting to leave. And we're talking over a period of 10 years. This wasn't a fast thing. Even I didn't notice it. But I was so trying to not want to be with anybody, because when you're addicted, it's an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're addicted like that, you just don't want anyone else to call you out on it. So I'd gone from being a very active party girl, requesting Shanghais and Hong Kongs and, you know, let's go out on one night in New York because, you know, let's go out, to this girl that was actively choosing trips where she could just vanish for 2 days and not see anyone and be able to just control my little eating habit that I developed, which was not eating. And I would live on like a Slim Fast bar a day, which are like 90 calories. And I'd eke out this bar through it the whole day. This is probably quite triggering for some people, but it really was. Those, if you are somebody listening to this and you get into those habits, you need to check yourself, because they can feel quite normal.
Yeah.
Eating, you know, one little chocolate bar for the whole day, but I was really unwell.
Do you feel you're over it now? Because some anorexics talk about how they never feel they're fully over it.
I feel as because if you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, you have to just cut it out. With food, obviously, you can't really cut it out, can you? But I would say that I've now got a new addiction, which is to be successful and run a business successfully and do things. So I've got a new distraction. So it's very unlikely that it would slip in.
Yeah.
I definitely have triggers. I spoke recently about the fact that when John got his second cancer diagnosis, the first thing I did was go to the toilet and just kind of retch, because that for me was something I could control, and that felt very comforting to me. It was almost like I'm in charge of this moment and no one can, you know, get involved. Very hard to be anorexic. It takes a lot of willpower, because we're hungry, aren't we? So to undereat is you've got to be quite a kind of determined person to do it. And I think I would struggle to do that now.
Well, what you're saying is you put your determination into something else.
It just doesn't, I'm not interested in that. I've got other things going on that are so much more important.
Have you ever felt that your social media has fueled an appetite for overconsumption of clothing?
Absolutely. And certainly when I worked with In the Style and created collections, those collections were really successful because they were quite cheap, and I was very design-led. I was someone that I went to Fashion Week, I watched the runways. So I was thinking with that kind of eye, which I don't think a lot of the other collections that they were pumping out would create in the same way. They won't mind me saying that. And as a consequence, if it's successful, what do you do in fast fashion? You do more of it. So I went from doing one collection every 3 months to one collection every 3 weeks. And it was financially brilliant. It paid for my new house, you know, it paid for all these wonderful things. But actually, what is this about? Like, what we're doing? And it's not sustainable. And it wasn't sustainable even from my community. Even they started to turn off.
Yeah.
Because we bought, hang on, I've just bought a dress. What are you talking about? You've got another dress to wear.
Yeah.
And there's something really lovely about seeing somebody that's told you about an outfit and then you see them wearing it a few times.
Well, I've noticed that on your grid, and I really love the fact that, and it's probably LA-based clothing, but I love the fact that you're there in that same caftan, here and there, and that's
the power of buying something good.
Yeah, I have a hashtag for it, Rewear Don't Care.
Yeah, and it's brilliant.
And I think it's so important that we celebrate that.
It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also it's like real life, because before social media, you would have things that you just wore all the time.
Now, I do know that you wore Amanda Wakeley on your wedding day.
I did. Both of my dresses.
I mean, I didn't meet you.
No.
I had no idea. But tell me about that.
When I got engaged to John, he'd been married twice before. So we decided we weren't going to have a church wedding. So we decided to get married in New York in August on my birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is going to be really hot. But also, we'd spent quite a lot of money on this wedding because we were flying people out and we had the hotels and everything. So we weren't skint, but we didn't have much money. So we were kind of like, we're not going to get a couture dress made. We're not going to go and spend 30 grand on a dress, but we want something really special. So we booked a night at the Lanesborough, and then we went to Harvey Nichols in the morning. And the plan was we were going to do it together. We were going to find me a dress. And I'll never forget it. And it was the whole collection was brilliant. But there were so many beautiful dresses that I couldn't choose. But the dress that I chose, they were all Amanda Wakeley. That was my, the concession that I stayed in. And the girl that served us was so brilliant. And she upselled as well. She was the person that showed me the evening out. She was like, you need another dress for the evening. And she was the
I know
person,
exactly who you were talking about.
she was the person that also said, you need some Louboutin, like, let's get you need a platform heel because you're 5'3", and, you know, it's going to...
She probably went into the Louboutin concession and picked out a couple of
and it
pairs
was like
for
it was a perfect match, the colour match, the silk and everything. It was
Brilliant.
just... And the dress, the only thing I would say is that on maybe 2 days before the wedding, I tried my dress on in New York, and it was a bit loose because I'd lost weight in the stress of getting
Which
married.
you do without even knowing about it.
And so the hotel we stayed at Soho House, and the Soho House guys were like, we've got someone that will come in and they'll redo it for you. And
Was it a bias dress?
Yeah, it was like kind of a floaty white and a silver body.
Yeah.
And then a white kind of 2 floaty panels. It was beautiful.
Yes.
But it kind of followed your silhouette, but it moved with you. And it was very flattering. I'm quite small boobed as well, so it just clung in the right way. Little spaghetti straps. And I just felt fabulous in it. And so they kind of nipped and tucked it in. But I think they charged probably the same as the dress to do it. And I was like, what? So that was disappointing. But yeah, that was the most expensive dress I'd ever owned. And I still got it now. And my mum actually, when I told her that I was coming on here, she said, I'm going to dig it out because I think I know where it is. Oh. And she found it and she's taken it to the dry cleaners, so they've still got it.
Great.
So I think when I get it back, I might do something, maybe frame it or something.
I love dresses and shoes framed or put in.
I've got it all.
Yeah.
And I had a Lulu Guinness clutch, the lips clutch. And then for the evening, I had Jimmy Choo, like kind of gladiatory style shoes.
And what dress did you choose for the evening?
It was part of the same collection. So it was like twinkly neck, like a slash neck, armless. And then it stopped there and then it just floated out. It was fab.
And have you ever worn either of them again?
Yeah, I wore the evening outfit to another friend's party, but I've never worn the wedding dress again.
Would you wear it again?
I don't think I'd get into it.
What ignited your passion for beauty?
Beauty for me came very much later, and I say that because I'd always worn makeup, but I would go to Boots on the way to a flight and just stock up on a load of Rimmel, Revlon and whatnot. I didn't care so much about... I obviously like putting makeup on, but I didn't really understand it. I didn't understand that skincare was so important. And then in lockdown, I was coming on each morning with no makeup or whatnot and thinking, oh, my skin actually doesn't look that great. So I started to experiment with skincare. And that made
Were you
me
getting
interested.
sent a lot of different
No, not
products?
at the B&M. I didn't really get sent anything. I'd go on Cult Beauty and just order loads of stuff. And I think it was Mrs. Rodial that was the first person that kind of picked up on the fact that here's this girl in lockdown coming on every day with no makeup and trying all this makeup for the first time, and people are interested. And I think she booked me. It was a very lucrative period, put it that way, because she kind of identified that I could convert really quite easily because it was a really authentically done kind of content.
Yeah,
it wasn't contrived, and so then she started to book me for jobs, and then of course the Hut Group, Cut Beauty, look fantastic. Those kind of brands. Everyone's ears prick up, don't they?
Yeah. Would you say your style has changed since launching LA Space?
I think it's had to because it's an identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to represent the identity of the brand.
Yep.
So a day like today where maybe the bottom, it's like business up top, going for a walk down the Thames, bottom, there's practicality to the outfit. Yeah. But in the reality is if I went to an event, I would probably wear a full suit. I would probably wear something a bit more bad girl. Because that's the mood at the minute. It's about being bold and quite kind of in charge because I'm not yet established. So I feel like I have to speak my aspirations through my clothing.
Yeah. Let's talk about bags. I noticed an image of you with not one Birkin, but
I do that. Only at the airport I do that because there's no way I'm putting those in the hold.
No way.
I do actually think the 2 Birkin look there is actually fabulous.
I just thought, wow, I have never seen that before, but it really looks great.
It really works because they were the same colour and style, just in different sizes. And I really I've always been quite extrovert in fashion and choices. So I quite like doing that. But if I like a bag, I will try and buy it in as many colours. So the Chanel 19, the little small one, I've got in 5 colours because that bag's brilliant. And I just rotate them and wear them quite a lot.
Okay, so guilty secret. How many Birkins?
Not that many. In fact, my collection of Hermes is probably 5 or 6 bags.
Okay.
And only 3 of them were bought in store. The other two were bought pre-loved, which are way more expensive, ridiculously. It was quite annoying.
That is annoying.
Yeah. But I think it's, it's the nature of them.
Were they as gorgeous in the flesh as you hoped they would be? Yeah, they were immaculate.
Yeah.
I also noticed you wear your fabulous rocks very visibly.
I do.
Are you ever concerned about being stalked?
I think the only thing I've realised in the last 2 years, in fact, is how many people know who I am in a common place.
Yeah.
But I don't really walk anywhere. Yeah, I've parked my car. I'm a minute away.
Yeah. Do you swivel your rock?
No, I don't actually, but I will do on the walk back.
Please do. What is stay-at-home, chill-out Lorna wearing when there's no camera in your face?
One of my favourite people said to me the other day, I love being in goblin mode. And I thought, I really relate.
Goblin mode.
I relate to
that.
that.
Yeah.
Because I thought, it's like scruffy, isn't it? So I'll have stains on my clothes. I'll be in a hoodie and sweatpants.
When do you feel you've really discovered your style DNA?
I think I discovered it very early on, and I've rebooted it. So 22, 23, I always wore little mini skirts with slouchy boots and, leg warmers. And I used to have lots of cardigans that were quite threadbare, and I would tie, use like little safety pins to just to make them last as long as possible.
Yeah.
I'm the same person. I'm still doing this now. I'm still in little mini skirts and slouchy boots. And I think that, maybe in my 40s, I probably should have a bit of a longer skirt. But why?
But why?
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I find it attractive, and I like the way I look.
If I asked John to describe your style DNA in 3 words, what 3 words would they be?
I think he would say cute, creative. I mean, John texted me yesterday and just said, I'm so in love with you. Like, John's quite a kind of lovey guy. So it would be quite gushing, I imagine.
Yeah, but
I think they would all be related to me and not necessarily the clothes. So kind of like pretty, or he'd talk more about me and how he thinks I look.
Okay, so not John. So a friend who knows you well.
Yeah, I think a friend would be different. Let's take one of my best friends, Charlie. He would probably say that I'm smart, elegant, and playful.
Would you say you've got a style icon?
Got quite a few. And they're kind of dated as well.
Yeah.
Like, I love like movie stars. I'm interested in what I absolutely adore Anne Hathaway at the minute because she's my age, and I really like her stylist, the way that they're looking at what she wore back in the day and reinventing it, but not trying to change her into something that she's not. But I think we love youth, don't we? So a lot of my style icons are youthful people, much younger than me. And I think that's something that I'm learning about, as my customer is slightly older than me. And I think women in general quite like to see someone a little bit younger wearing that look. And I think I'm doing the same now. So a lot of my icons are just slightly younger. But I'd love all, like Emmanuel, I love all those like fashion editors. And even down to like Anna Wintour, because what I love about Anna is that she just wears what she likes. I would never wear all those crazy prints and those big necklaces, but it's her and it suits her. So for me, an icon should be somebody that really owns their style.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be mine. I'm impressed by them. I love someone that wears like a block suit as well, like a head to toe colour. I think that's quite powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you reach for when you want to feel empowered?
Tailoring, always. I've got probably about 200 blazers because I never get rid of them. So I just keep them.
That's another question. I'll come onto that. If you could dress in only one brand, which brand would
Well, of course, it's LA Space.
Well, if it wasn't LA Space. If it was...
Probably, in terms of how much money I've spent at that brand store, Saint Laurent. But Saint Laurent for me is when I'm on a skinny day. If I'm feeling a bit porky and bloated, that is not the brand for me.
Because it's too finely cut?
I think so. But in terms of their tailoring, it's a place I would... I mean, every Christmas I always buy a Chanel coat, and Chanel, their coats are the best. They just fit. They take a dress size off you.
Would you say you've got one item of clothing that means the most to you?
No. And that's because I'm not, crazily, in the job that I do.
You're supposed to say my Amanda Wakeley wedding dress.
I am, I know. I haven't seen it. I need to see it back when it comes back from the dry cleaners. I'm not a sentimentalist.
Right.
So if there was a house fire I'd just grab the dog. I wouldn't care about anything.
I mean, you lead an incredibly busy life. Is your wardrobe phenomenally organised?
No, it's not. But my mum now works for me, and it's one of her jobs is to come and organise my wardrobe. But it's quite a mess.
Love it. Have you ever worked with a stylist?
I haven't. I've had jobs where I've been styled, and it's never really worked for me.
Yeah. Worst fashion moment?
So many. Mainly, usually fake tan related.
Ah.
I do remember actually going to it was a Leicester Square film with Anne Hathaway and what was it called? The Intern. And I'd been invited last minute and I didn't have a dress, and I went and bought this Moschino kind of like, but it was the diffusion line, so it was very like youthful.
Yeah.
And it was like a bodycon with a puffball skirt that was black and white polka dots. Really not selling it, but it didn't work. It was just an absolute mess of a dress.
And the fake tan too?
And I think the fake tan was not fake tanning, yeah. It was awful.
Let's talk about travel. Do you pay attention, because I know you love to travel, don't you?
Adore it.
Do you pay particular attention to your airport look?
Depends if I need a photo. So there's days when I say to John, right, should we do a little mixy-matchy moment? And he will match his outfit to mine.
Oh, I love it.
So that we look kind of semi-together. But there's other times, we've just been to Amalfi last week, and I said it was a 6 a.m. flight. So I said, I'm not even going to put any makeup on. I'm going to wait until we get to the hotel. So I just went in comfy. You know, and comfy for me would be either leggings or little shorts and a blazer and a white tee, and nothing really over thought out.
Yeah.
And then a big bag and big shades.
Maybe two big bags.
Yeah.
Good packer, bad packer?
Brilliant packer, because obviously 10 years cabin crew. You're packing always in a rush.
Into a
I
tiny,
can pack in minutes. John takes days.
Luggage?
So I'm reluctant to say this because I'm absolutely irritated to death by this brand, but I've got 4 very big hold luggage Rimowas. And I would say on a rotation, there's always one that's broken. And I'd say it's the point where I've been on probably 8 trips where it's broken down route and I've had to go to a Rimowa store and get it fixed or couldn't get into it. And I'm sure, and when we go in now, because we're like family friends, they know me straight away. They're like, what's happened now? And it's always the lock's broken or something. So not reliable, but they look fabulous.
Guilty secret. What is the most expensive item that you have bought? I'm not asking for the price tag.
Other than bags, because I suppose bags get really daft money, don't they?
They do.
So yeah, definitely Birkin territory. But I've got coats that I probably spent more than a Birkin on.
What's your approach to sustainable fashion?
Definitely as I've got older, I take more care in it. So I'm more interested in where things are made, how they're made. But sustainable and inclusive sit side by side for me. And if you're all about the sustainable, but you only go up to a size 12, I'm not going to be your customer. Because if I wear something that you can only buy up to a size 12, that alienates a huge proportion of my audience. Whereas if I wear something that is sustainable or not so sustainable, I think I've got to think with both heads.
Yeah.
But also for us, especially as an LA-based brand, we think also about, let's not do a completely recycled knit because you put it in the washing machine and it disintegrates.
Yeah.
So let's try and do a little bit of acrylic and some cashmere, and let's try and make something that's going to last for years so that our customer can just keep wearing it. And let's not create styles that you're not going to wear again and again. So we don't do too kind of high trend pieces. So that's sustainable to me.
Yeah. And what do you do with your personal clothes when you've had enough of them?
So I do 3 things. I either give them to friends, give them to charity. My mum gives them to a charity shop, and she really enjoys that. Like that's her job.
Yeah.
Or I'll sell them, but I won't sell them. I'll do like a charity sale, so I don't make any profit from the clothes that I sell.
Right. So you will do a personal...
I'll hold it myself, and then there's only a couple of charities that we really support, and so I know where that money's going, and it goes straight to them.
Yeah.
And I know how it's being spent.
And what are your favourite charities?
One of them is called the Meath.
Give them a shout out.
Yeah. So the Meath is an epilepsy charity.
Yeah.
And there's a trust with a home, and John's brother lives there. And they've cared for him for many years now.
Yeah. So it's a personal connection.
It's a personal connection. And we see when we've given them money in the past, they bought a big barbecue, and then we go to a garden party and they're using the barbecue, and it's quite, that's to me a tangible like piece of charity.
Yeah.
The ball. So I've historically always tried to give to Women's Refuge or anything kind of related to women, and that's not because I've not had any history of domestic violence or anything like that. But I have a lot of people that are in my community who have over the years messaged me and said, I'm in a relationship that I can't get out of, or I feel very trapped. And so it's just been a consistent story for me.
Yeah.
Within the people that follow me. And actually now, obviously, cancer has become our new charity to kind of focus on because of what John's been through.
And that's Cancer Research?
Well, I've always said Cancer Research UK, and that's where we've donated our money so far.
Yeah.
But actually, when you start to talk about that online, a lot of people have opinions about where smaller niche charities and that's great, because I'm learning.
Yeah.
So I'm always open to people sliding in my DM and saying, oh, actually, look at this, and this is what they're doing, and this is where they're spending the money.
Yeah.
And that's quite nice to learn about.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's lovely how open you are to DMs, and you have a very open relationship with your community.
That is probably all my market research, everything is done on DM, and it's one-on-one. And somebody asked me the other day, does someone reply for you? It's like, no, this is all me.
Right, let's spin on to some quick fire questions. So these are quick answers. What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Size up.
Which fashion trend would you most like to see make a comeback?
The shrug.
What fashion or beauty trend would you consign to Room 101?
So many. Too much bronzer.
Your last impulse buy?
I'm terrible at impulse buying. Everything's an impulse buy. Probably a pair of Balenciaga shoes that look like feet. They're not arrived yet.
Views on tattoos?
I have one.
Beauty treatment you couldn't give up?
Massage.
High end or high street?
High end.
Bling or bear?
Bear.
Minimalism or maximalism?
Minimalism.
Couture or charity shop?
That's a hard one. Charity shop.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Puke.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Sneakers.
This one is specially for you. Birkin or Kelly?
Birkin.
Boyfriends or wide legs?
Wide leg.
Bodycon or boho?
Definitely boho.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Sports looks.
Red carpet or relax?
Relax.
Trend or style?
Style.
Colour or monochrome?
Monochrome.
Experimental or uniform?
Uniform.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cotton.
Charity shop or resale?
Resale.
Shapewear or sexy lingerie?
Lingerie.
Tights or stockings?
Stockings.
Bikini or one piece?
Bikini.
Beanie or beret?
Beanie.
And traditional last question is, at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
I sleep naked.
Lorna, thank you for a very, very enjoyable conversation.
I enjoyed that.
Loved chatting. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And your insights, your influencer insights, fascinating.